Hello, everybody, and thank you all very much for joining me today. My name is Connor Savory, and I work in student recruitment and admissions here at the University of Toronto, Mississauga. We've got a very exciting evening planned for you folks. In a little bit, in just a couple of minutes, I'm going to give you folks a quick presentation, just walking you through some of the need to know information that you folks have coming up in the next couple of months. And then in just a few minutes, and maybe about 10 minutes or so, I'm going to be calling two current UTM computer science students on screen. Um, these students are both currently studying in the computer science specialist program. We're going to be asking them a couple of questions. I've prepared a few questions for these students, but more importantly, this is an opportunity for you folks to interact with someone who is currently studying in what might be your future program. So I strongly encourage everybody, stay active in the chat. If you have any questions, please keep them coming in the comments. We're joined today by one of our current student ambassadors as well, Stella. She's going to be in the comments answering any questions that you might have and highlighting any important ones to bring to me that I can ask to our current UTM computer science students. Now, before beginning, we always like to start by acknowledging the land on which the University of Toronto operates. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. Today, this meeting place is still home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to live, work, and learn here today. So, before diving into everything, I want to start by congratulating everybody. I believe everybody in this audience, or just about everyone, has already received an offer of admission to the University of Toronto, Mississauga for our computer science, mathematics, and statistics admission category. This is a fantastic accomplishment. I know how hard many of you have been working to get to this point. And I just want you to know that it's really not lost on us just how great of an accomplishment this is. I realize that at this point in time, you're probably starting to receive offers of admission to a couple of different schools, and you're starting to have a serious think about which school is the right fit for you. So before really diving into the student panel that we have planned for you folks, I wanted to start by just giving you a bit of a refresher on who we are, what we have to offer for you, and why we might be the right fit for you. And then for those of you who have already started to make up your mind that Mississauga might be the right program or the right university for you, I also wanted to walk you through a couple next steps and important dates for you to keep in mind over the next couple of months. So to begin, this is going to be a refresher for all of you. The University of Toronto is Canada's top university and Canada's flagship university for research and discovery. We enjoy an incredible reputation for the cutting edge work that we do in the lab, in the studio, and in the field. In fact, not only are we Canada's top university, but we're also amongst the best universities in the world. In fact, just this year, we were ranked 21st globally by Times Higher Education. What this means for you is that when you graduate from the University of Toronto, you're leaving with a degree which can take you anywhere in the world. Now, as you are all well aware, the University of Toronto is one university with 3 campuses. We have the University of Toronto, Mississauga in the city of Mississauga, and then about 30 kilometers to the east is the University of Toronto, St. George in the heart of downtown Toronto, and about 30 kilometers east of that is the University of Toronto, Scarborough. Now, each of these 3 campuses has something unique to offer. Of course, today we're going to be focusing on the Mississauga campus, but as I'm talking, the important thing for all of you to know right now is that from any of these 3 campuses, you'll be getting the same world-class education and graduating with the same University of Toronto degree. Of course, if we're looking at the University of Toronto, Mississauga, UTM has a lot to offer to students. And in fact, Mississauga is quite a great location for students who are looking to really start the next chapter of their lives. Of course, the city of Toronto is Canada's largest city, but Mississauga is no small town either. In fact, we're the seventh largest city in Canada. And what's more, 75 of Canada's Fortune 500 companies call the city of Mississauga home. So it's a fantastic place to really be getting your start. Just like our neighbor to the east, the city of Mississauga is an incredibly diverse place. It's a city where over 50% of our residents speak a language other than English at home. It is very much just like our sister to the east, a cultural melting pot of all the great people that have come to the Greater Toronto area and made this place home. Zooming in on the Mississauga campus, we are a beautiful campus surrounded by 225 acres of protected green space right in the heart of the Greater Toronto area. For those of you who ever have the opportunity to come and take a campus tour, you'll find that we are a highly walkable campus and that we're also deeply integrated with the green space and the nature that surrounds us. For those of us who are thinking about pursuing research, UTM is also a fantastic place to be. And in fact, we've generated nearly $20 million in active research projects. So for students who are looking at the University of Toronto or really comparing us against other universities in general, why is University of Toronto Mississauga the right fit? Well, our campus has a lot to offer to students, and consequently, students choose us for a wide variety of different reasons. So as we're starting to compare different universities and maybe different campuses, these are just a few things that you might want to keep in mind and a few things that have drawn students to our campus in the past. Whether that be the opportunity to participate in cutting edge research in a world leading facility with world leading faculty, or our vibrant multicultural city right on the border of Canada's cultural and economic heart. We've also talked about how our campus is the natural choice. We are deeply integrated with the nature around us. And in fact, the University of Toronto was recently ranked the world's most ecologically sustainable university in the world. We've talked a little bit about community, and we're going to be diving into that a little bit more when we talk to some of our current students. Our university is also deeply connected with the world around us, which means more opportunities for you as a student. We are the #1 university on the continent for research-based startups, and we have one of the top 5 university-managed business incubators in the world. We're also ranked amongst the best public universities in the world. We're first in North America and 11th in the globe for global alumni employability. Really going back to what I said earlier, that when you graduate from the University of Toronto, you really seriously are leaving with a degree that can take you anywhere on the planet. Not only that, but our student body and our large network of alumni connect us directly with over 135 countries around the globe. Another fantastic selling point of the University of Toronto, and really one of my favorite things about this university, is that this is a place for students who really want to customize their degree and make the most of their experience. The first way that students can do this is through what we call specialists, majors, and minors. Now, the key difference between these 3 different program types is how much of your study is focused on a particular subject area, with a specialist being a larger focus, taking up most of your studies, a major being more of a medium-sized focus, taking up about half of your studies, and of course, a minor being the smallest size of all, allowing you to focus a little bit of your extra space in your degree on a particular subject area. Now, the students that we're going to be hearing from in just a couple of minutes are both currently specialist students at the University of Toronto, Mississauga's computer science program. Both of them have their own unique minors as well, which they might have the opportunity to chat about a little bit. And of course, beyond customizing your degree in the classroom, research has shown that the more involved students are off campus and on campus, the better you are likely to do in your academics. And that's why we have a wide variety of different opportunities for you to take your learning outside of the classroom. Now, I'm not going to dive too deep into this because I know we're here to hear from the fantastic students that I have invited. But this comes in a variety of different forms, whether that's getting involved in the campus community, whether that's taking opportunities to take your learning off campus and into the working world, and whether that is taking advantage of the wealth of different supports on campus to really become the best student that you can possibly be. Now, I'm going to be calling those students on screen in just a minute now. But before doing so, I just wanted to touch upon what next steps might look like for some of you folks. So, of course, I wanted to highlight residence. We won't go into too deep a dive, but we will have the opportunity to talk to a student who lived in residence. If we are thinking about residence, however, I do want to highlight we have the most diverse range of housing options at the University of Toronto. Most importantly, though, I wanted to highlight dates and deadlines for residence. As a reminder, the deadline to submit the residence guarantee application is March 31st, so it's coming up right at the end of the month. This deadline does not come with any financial obligation. All you need to do is say, yes, I am thinking about maybe living on campus. Filling out this first step guarantees you a spot in residence. From there, you have until June 10th to complete the rest of the undergraduate residence application. This is where you'll be putting down some money and going into more specific details about what style of residence you'd like to be living in and what you want your living situation to look like. From there, residence offers will be sent out on June 17th, with July 2nd being the deadline to respond to that residence offer and say, yes, I am definitely moving on to campus. Looking at the application timeline, a lot of this has already been covered, but I just wanted to offer a couple of refreshers. Again, that March 31st deadline for residents, but the more important one for you folks, now that we have offers of admission, are our response deadlines. The earliest deadline for non-Ontario students to select a university is May 1st, meaning that for some of you in this meeting, May 1st may be the deadline for you to indicate to us that, yes, you are accepting your offer of admission to the University of Toronto, Mississauga. Take a closer look at your offer letter for when this date is and make sure you do not miss it. That is the deadline for us to hold your spot at UTM and for you to say, yes, I am going to come. For those of you who are currently in high school in Ontario, the deadline is a little bit later. It is June 3rd, both for us and for universities across the province. From there, I know I'm already starting to get questions in my office, at least from students asking about when they can start enrolling in classes and building their schedule. This is going to be coming in mid-July, so we have plenty of time. Now, I recognize I've been yapping a lot. That's not what we are all here to hear. So with that, I'm actually going to put down my PowerPoint and I'm going to call Bogdan and Yoyo onto the screen. Yoyo, as soon as you're ready. Oh, there you are. Perfect. All right. Welcome, Bogdan. Welcome, Yoyo. So these are our two students who have graciously volunteered their time to participate in today's student panel. Now, I've got a bit of information on each of them, but rather than me talking any more than I already have, I'm going to invite each of them to introduce themselves. So if you maybe want to share your name, your programs that you're studying, as well as your year of study, that would be a fantastic start. Let's start with Bogdan.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for the invitation. So my name is Bogdan. I'm a fifth year double major actually in computer science and GIS. So this is my final year and yeah, basically.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And Yo-Yo, go ahead, please.
Hi everyone. My name is Yoyo. I'm a second-year student in CS Specialist and Math minor.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. As a reminder, I've got a couple questions prepared for these two fantastic students, but I really want to make sure that everybody here has the opportunity to interact with both of these students if you have any questions to make sure that you're asking them. So again, just as a reminder, make sure you keep those questions coming in the chat. Stella is there. She is our current student. We were meant to have her logged in on our UT account, but it looks like she is responding with her personal account. So Stella Dos Santos is our student ambassador. She's in the chat helping answer questions. She's also going to be starring questions for me and highlighting the ones that we should be presenting to these students. Now, to get the conversation rolling, I've got a question for both of you. When you were applying to universities, you were probably looking at a lot of different options, as many of these students are as well. So I wanted to ask each of you, what drew you to the University of Toronto and maybe the Mississauga campus in particular? And we'll start with Yo-Yo, please.
So when I got my offers to the university, I was mostly deciding on whether to go into a psychology program or a CS program. The reason I chose UTM was because in first year we still have the choice to compete for both the CS program and the psychology program. So that's what I did. And yeah, and another reason was because the campus was close to my home. So yeah.
Right, and we talked about that a tiny bit in the introduction, where we talked about. In fact, I don't think I went into great detail about it, but what Yo-Yo's touched upon is that at UTM, your first year, you do not need to lock into a specific program. So this was a fantastic opportunity for somebody like Yo-Yo to spend her first year setting herself up on two different paths and figuring out what the right fit was for her. And luckily, it worked out for her, and she's found hopefully a passion and an interest in computer science in particular. Bogdan, I want to hand the same question to you.
Yeah, for sure. So my main reasons, I was mainly looking at computer science as a program. So I was looking at the reputation of various universities, and U of T was definitely one of the highest ones on the list. It was also close to home, and I guess the final nail in the coffin, so to speak, was actually visiting the campus during the open house. It's just a lovely campus. That was kind of my main decision.
Awesome. I'll be honest, that's exactly how I chose my university as well. For those of you who are local, I was going to touch upon this in a little bit, but for those of you who are in the Greater Toronto area, if you are living under a rock and you still haven't been informed of it, we are hosting an open house this Sunday, March 24th. I will be there. It's a fantastic opportunity, like Bogdan just said, to really experience the campus in the flesh. We've got campus tours going on, as well as the opportunity to interact with what might be some of your future professors. So a great opportunity. Now I'm going to keep on going through my questions, but first we've already got, just at a glance, I caught a really great question from Shreddy. So I want to pose it to you. Shreddy asks, how do you know if computer science is the right major for you? So I suppose I want to pose this first to Yo-Yo. I know, Yo-Yo, that you were looking at a couple of different programs. In fact, you were trying to figure out if computer science or if psychology was the right fit for you. So how did you make up your mind? What was it that kind of drew you to computer science? Or maybe what do you think makes a good computer science student? However you want to answer that.
Yes, like I was wondering between CS and psychology. So I took both introduction courses, which are requirements for post in the first year. And while I was during the first year CS courses, I felt that I did better than a lot of friends. So I felt that CS kind of suits me. And on the other hand, psychology, well, there's a lot of readings, which I wasn't good at. So that's why I went to CS instead.
And I'll pose the same question to you, Bogdan, while we have you. I guess, I mean, you've been in computer science for quite a while now. So you've certainly lived the student experience. I guess I want to ask, what do you enjoy about computer science, or what maybe attributes do you think would make somebody a good fit for a program like computer science?
Yeah, for sure. So one thing I generally like about computer science compared to maybe some other subjects is there's more of an emphasis on like practical like problem solving. So again, as Yoyo said, there's not that many like readings or a lot of like theoretical concepts. Those still exist, but not to the same degree as in maybe some other courses. So you're basically learning how to make stuff. You're basically creating stuff on your own. And sorry, was there a second part to that question?
No, I mean, you're right on the money there. I just wanted to really help give these students an idea of what they can expect and how to identify whether they're the right type of student for this. So, I mean, I kind of asked you, who do you think is the right type of student for a program like this, or what maybe is a quality that might make you the right fit? Answer that however you interpret it and whatever comes to your mind.
For sure, yeah. So quality, I don't know how much I can really comment. So there is, I guess, if you can really like persist. So if you have good, like if you have like persistence, there's going to be a lot of challenging problems that you're going to have to solve. There's going to be a lot of things that go wrong somewhere. So if you can persist, if you can really use your knowledge and I guess resourcefulness to solve those problems, you can really succeed in this.
Awesome. I'm also seeing a lot of questions coming in asking about math. They're mostly asking about YouTube channels, if I'm being entirely honest with you guys, but I think I want to start by framing this by asking, how math heavy is this program? What was that transition like for you guys? And maybe if there was any resources that you used, whether on campus or off campus, to help you with that. Or if you didn't need it at all and it's really not been as big a deal as maybe some of us might be worried. So Yo-Yo, I think maybe we'll start with you. What's your experience been like? Is it a math heavy program? Is this something that a student should be worried about coming into something like computer science?
Math is important in computer science, but I wouldn't say that in the courses is that heavy. Math courses are mostly in first year, and I know I didn't really use any YouTube channels or anything. I mostly just use the textbooks and the practice problems that the profs get. The channel I would recommend for one of the courses was the course is MAT 102, and there's a TA who had some very good videos for the course called Liying, Liying, and I think you could just search up that online.
That's actually a fantastic resource. I wasn't expecting either of you to have a channel ready to go. So Yo-Yo, thank you. Bogdan, do you have anything to add before we move on?
Yeah, for sure. So this program can be basically as math intensive as you kind of want it to be. So as you said, first year is generally kind of math heavy. So you have to do calculus, mathematical proofs, linear algebra. You can do either first year or second year. And if you choose a specialist, there's, I think, one more math course that you need to do. Otherwise, you can probably major in math. A lot of upper year courses, some of them do use math, but you can basically choose whichever ones you like. A lot of them are not that math heavy. They're more like, I guess, programming heavy or some other content heavy.
Awesome. And you know what? I also just wanted to take a second to highlight, because neither of you touched upon it, that UTM also has a fantastic math help center to help students who are looking for that extra support in your math class. And that ranges from those of us who are going into programs where math is important to students like me who are maybe in the humanities and have to take a stats class and do math for the first time in 4 years. It's a fantastic resource, and it's affiliated, I believe, with our academic skills center. So that's just another resource that I really wanted to highlight to students since we are on the topic. Now, we've been all over the place, but we're already starting to get a lot of questions about co-op and what co-op looks like. So you know what? I want to start by talking about what the structure of the co-op program looks like at the University of Toronto, Mississauga. Now, I will chime in to kind of walk through it in some regards as well, because I've got a level of expertise there as an admissions professional. But just to introduce it before asking these questions, I want to start by saying that the University of Toronto, Mississauga, our co-op program is a little bit unique and a little different to some other co-op programs at other universities. So at UTM, our program, we structure it, we call it a professional experience year. So unlike some other co-op structures where students go away for a few months to study, come back or go away for a few months to work, come back and study, back and forth. At UTM, students go away for one work placement for 12 to 16 months at a time. So with that sort of context in the background, I wanted to start maybe with Yoyo, because I know that you're sort of you're in your second year, you're in the early phases of starting to work towards your co-op. You've talked to me a little bit about some of the preparation that the university does to help get students ready for co-op. So can you tell us a little bit more about what that looks like and how we help students start to get ready for going off on a co-op placement?
Yes. In the PY program, in your second year, you're given to a couple of modules that you have to complete in order to get into the work term. There are 4 modules, and each module, and like the first, some of the things that you do in the modules help you prepare for job searching, resume writing, interview preparing, and like getting ready for the workforce. And as you complete those modules, you get access to some websites where the school has collected and provided some job listings that may suit you.
Awesome. And so you're in your second year right now, Yoyo. By the sounds of it, you're planning on doing a co-op. Is that right?
Yes.
And what's the timeline look like for you? When would you be going off on co-op, probably?
Probably after third year, but you could also do a work term in your summer after second year, which is 4 months, and the one after third year is 12 to 16 months.
So they've already started preparing you pretty early on for that work placement. How are those modules going? Hopefully you're feeling a little bit more confident about entering into the workforce?
Yes, it provided me a guideline of what I needed to do to get prepared. And
awesome.
Yeah, I'm like almost finished it. So
awesome. And so I'm going to use that as an opportunity to talk to Bogdan about his experiences that he's already had. So you have already done a co-op PEY co-op work term. In fact, you spent 16 months with an employer. So I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about that from start to finish. If you maybe want to talk about um, the process of finding a placement, whether the university helped you with that, what that looks like finding a placement, and then what they had you doing, what the experience was like. Because I know that this is something that's very important for a lot of our audience.
Yeah, for sure. So when I did my PEY, so professional experience year, it was a little different. I think they made some changes since then, but I think the idea would be the same. So U of T actually makes it very convenient to apply to jobs. They basically had their own job board with employers who were specifically looking for students for just software developer, data scientist, so on and so forth positions. Now, you did have to apply to quite a few job placements to like really get an offer, but from my year at least, basically everyone, like most people who I knew, they were able to find an offer. There were a lot of companies who were basically like hiring students. So for that, again, the process for each company is going to be a little different. You're going to have to do interviews, online assessments, so just like online tests where you basically have to complete a few problems. But I found that the process was fairly straightforward. So you had a dedicated job board with employers looking for positions. And once you applied to however many, you're going to basically get a few responses. So the actual experience when joining it, I guess, might seem a little daunting at first, but basically everyone is there to really help you succeed. So you have just great people within the company. They understand that you're a student, but at the same time they're also expecting you to basically like put in an effort and do your best basically to succeed. So a lot of what you will be doing is actual real life applications. So my employer was Bibliocommons back then. So they're a company that specialize in library software. So Chicago's public library site, basically that's them who basically work on it. And yeah, you I guess depends on the company, but you will have a lot of like practical experience. You will do coding. You will just, I guess it depends on the company.
Awesome. And I just wanted to ask, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, you're planning on graduating soon. Is that right?
Yeah.
So how, recognizing that you're starting to maybe get ready for that transition into the workforce, how are you feeling about that? How do you feel that this co-op has prepared you in any way? And also maybe kind of in a related vein, um, do you feel that your university has prepared you for the workforce? What did it meet your expectations? Was it different from what you were expecting being in the working world? I just want to ask how you're feeling about kind of that life transition that's coming up for you.
Yeah, for sure. So co-op definitely helped set basic expectations for what job searching might look like, what the whole interview process might look like, what basically working there would look like. Because when you're in a co-op, you don't really feel like you're an intern or something. You feel like you're basically part of the team, so to speak. You're just doing the same work as basically others. You're contributing, and work does feel a little different from university. So there are a lot of courses that do prepare you for work experience, but there is also more, I guess, theoretical courses that basically give you knowledge. I think that U of T definitely helped quite a bit in preparing you to go to the workforce. Again, it also depends on what topic you're searching for. There's a lot of topics out there. There's a lot of different like technologies you would use, but what U of T I think really helps you do is it helps you kind of learn how to learn, so to speak. And once you're on the job, basically your experience with, I guess, learning stuff pretty quickly, it helps out in basically ramping you up to work, basically. But when you're in the company, it like there are differences as well. So there's no like standardized testing. So you can basically ask your senior developers or manager or anything, like any question. In U of T you can as well, but you're a lot more independent, I find, in university, and that also kind of helps out when you're on the job as well. But it like the focus is not as much on that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing such an in-depth answer. And in fact, I really appreciate you highlighting university as being a place to learn how to learn. It's kind of a key message that we actually like to share with students, because you're absolutely right that you know, university and the working world aren't identical at all. But what university really does is it gives us this foundational. It helps us develop a certain way of thinking that prepares you to really go out into the world as a critical thinker and develop the skills that you're going to need and develop the competencies that you're going to need. Yo-Yo, I'm gonna come back to you in just a second. I promise. I feel bad that you're all alone in the dark. It looks like right now. But we'll get to you in a second. I just wanted to ask a quick question to Bogdan, which is, you know, and I don't know if you have an answer for this, but I wanted to ask, since you're so close to graduating, what's next for you? Do you have a plan? What types of jobs are you looking for? What types of industries are appealing to you? Or maybe you already have something lined up. I don't know.
So my immediate plan, so to speak, is to take a bit of a break and just apply to various jobs and I guess grad school in the meantime. So one advantage of U of T, and again, your education basically kind of depends on what you kind of want. So you have a variety of options presented at UTM. You can take courses at St. George and whatever. But basically, U of T prepares you for a variety of different like paths to take. So you can go to grad school with no issue. You can find like various types of jobs. Basically, depends on what you're interested in the most. But even if you're not as interested in something, you can still find a job in it because like it builds up that kind of breadth of knowledge. But yeah, my plan right now, I'm still deciding between grad school and just work for now.
It's a big decision to make, and especially, I mean, if you started your undergrad 6 years ago, I can't blame you for being drawn to getting out of academia for a little bit, or at least taking a break. I mean, I did a 4-year undergrad, and I mean, that was plenty for me. I was looking at a master's, and I was thinking, man, I'm ready for a little bit of me time. So I get it. Thank you for sharing that. You both have been kind of hinting or flirting with the idea of talking about some of the different classes that you've taken. Now, I've had the pleasure of speaking with both of you kind of privately, one-on-one. But for these students who are maybe starting to think about UTM as an option, I wanted to ask you if there are any classes that have stood out to you, or maybe academic experiences that have really stood out to you. I wanted to start with Yo-Yo because you were telling me about a group project you were working on that sounded really interesting that I think students might like to hear about.
Yes, it was in a course in second year fall. For that course, we had to complete create adventure game with a group of 4. There wasn't much restrictions to the game, so we just created the game based off of the last assignments code that the TAs and profs provided. We made our program with the theme of university. So the player is a university student. They can choose different courses to start off with, and they have to go into the different rooms of the university to collect special objects that can enhance their attributes or help them in completing tests. The tests are in form of mini games. So, for example, a test that we created for a music course was the game would play a random music note, and the player has to choose the correct music note out of a series of notes in a certain number of trials to pass the test. If overall the player passes also the test and achieves enough credit to graduate, they'll just win the game, or else they just, they'll just have to increase their GPA or lose the game.
The reason I wanted to ask you about that is because that sounded like such a cool class to me, and it's also, truthfully, I didn't realize that you had that kind of game design element to even explore in computer science. So, I mean, Yo-Yo, you're still pretty early on. If I'm not mistaken, you told me that you were maybe thinking about possibly a career in game design. Has this class maybe, how has this influenced what your future plans are? Are you feeling more confident towards wanting to pursue that route, or you know what? I'll open the floor for you to talk about however you want to talk about it.
I feel like this course definitely pushed me to game development. It was a pretty interesting course, and it had a lot of freedom. And the course was mostly independent learning, and I kind of like that, and exploring what we can do to build on our game, and learning about the different gaming designs and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Same question to you, Bogdan. Are you? I wanted to ask about standout classes or memorable classes that you have taken over your last few years. In particular, one that really stood out to me was a fourth-year seminar that you were telling me about that you recently took. But whatever you want to talk about, I'd like to hear about maybe some classes that have stood out to you or that you've particularly enjoyed as a student here.
Yeah, for sure. So one thing that UTM offers that is, I think, pretty good here is the computer security direction, basically. So there are two computer security courses that you could take. One is a third-year, basically like familiarization course. So it touches upon the different aspects of cybersecurity, and you do a lot of, I guess, very practical projects. So there's like simulated attacks that you have to carry out. There's like checking for vulnerabilities. There's just a lot of stuff in that field that you have to do. And the follow-up course to that, so that is a fourth-year seminar course where basically
Sorry, can I interrupt you for a
Yeah.
second? I apologize for interrupting, but
Yeah.
for students who maybe aren't familiar, what's the difference between a course and a seminar? What does that mean when you're talking about something being a seminar?
Oh yeah, for sure. So course, there's basically like a set content. So there's like a set structure, course content that you have to learn. Seminar, it's a lot more, I guess there's various definitions of seminar, but basically it's a lot more like self-directed. So you basically choose what you want to study. And there is one for computer security because there's a lot of changing like issues and events and such that basically here you can choose what you're interested in, and you do research for basically however many weeks, and you present your findings to the class, and you learn what other people in the class also presented. So all the lectures there are basically carried out by the students.
And I didn't ask you this when we met, so I don't want to put you on the spot. Do you remember what you researched? And if so, do you want to tell us a little bit about it in like a minute or less?
I remember what I researched. I don't know if it would count as an academic offense to like describe it.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. If it's going into too much detail, that's okay. But I appreciate you sharing that, and I'll admit I might have gotten overexcited about that class because I personally am a bit of a nerd for cybersecurity, and I think it's really cool. But thank you both for sharing that. Now I was going to get to this in a bit, but we've already gotten this question from Mona. I don't know if either of you have, but have either of you taken any classes at the St. George campus downtown? And if so, do you remember what? And if not, that's okay. Neither of you have. That's okay. That's perfectly fine. So I can answer this question for Mona. That's absolutely okay. Taking classes at any of the 3 University of Toronto campuses is absolutely possible. Ultimately, at the end of the day, whichever campus you're at, you are a University of Toronto student, and we will do what we can to help get you where you want to be. Mona, as you've kind of touched upon, students at a home campus do get the priority enrollment in a given class, but certainly that doesn't exclude you from taking classes either at St. George or at the Scarborough campus. I will say that students tend to ask me a lot about this going into their first year. And then in my experience, and I mean, Bogdan and Yoyo are fantastic examples of this. In my experience, once students actually get here, they find that they've got more than enough options here at the Mississauga campus and don't necessarily end up pursuing that option. But if there's a class that's, let's say, downtown at the St. George campus that's really appealing to you, it is an option for you. And in fact, we have a free shuttle bus that'll take you straight to the heart of downtown Toronto. Let's see here. And I just want to go through maybe some of the questions that I've gotten that I might have missed, because we've had a pretty active chat. I don't know if either of you have been watching it kind of roll in, but students are very excited to hear from you folks. We've already talked quite a bit about co-op and work experience. We've talked about PEY. Mona had another question. I'm going to answer it real quick. Do international students also get placement or co-op year? Yes, the answer is yes. A student asked for opportunities to go overseas, either for the PEY or to study abroad. I don't think either of you went abroad, but have either of you investigated it?
Yeah, I have investigated. So there is a program that lets you study abroad. I think there's some criteria you need to have beforehand, but basically like second year onwards, it's definitely a possibility. So there, I don't remember the name. It's like a UTM study abroad, I think it's called. It offers opportunities to like a bunch of different countries. So that's, yeah, it's definitely a possibility. As for PY, I'm not sure. I think I know some people who may have done it in the States, but I don't remember.
Yeah, and in my, I mean, professional experience, again, I don't, my primarily responsibility is getting students into first year, but I have interacted with students who have done work placements outside of Canada. Typically, it does take a little bit more creativity or a little bit more initiative on your end, but I have seen students do it. In fact, just earlier this week, I was speaking with a student who did a work placement down in Houston in the United States. So it's certainly an opportunity. With that said, as we've already talked about, we will help you find work opportunities as well. The employers that are coming to us largely are within the Greater Toronto area. These are folks who are top employers who are coming to us saying, hey, we want a U of T co-op student working with us. With that said, if you found an opportunity somewhere outside of Canada and it is appealing to you, the door is open to you, and we encourage students to take those kinds of opportunities. Shreddy asked a question about having time to work on side projects or attend extracurriculars. Now, I haven't talked to either of you about side projects, so I don't want to put you on the spot if you don't have much to say. But Bogdan, I know that you're involved a little bit in some of the communities on campus outside of the classroom. So I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about your extracurricular involvement and what that might look like for a student.
Yeah, for sure. So with side project and extracurriculars, there's a lot of variables that kind of come into play. A lot of it is based on your own course schedule. So I know people who took 6 courses a semester. I know people who took mainly like 4 courses a semester. So it depends on, yeah, like there's a lot of factors, but you can definitely have time to set for side projects and extracurriculars. So the communities that I'm in on campus right now, and I have a bit of a lighter semester right now, so it's easier for me in that way. There is an urbanism club, actually. It basically talks about like public transit, walkability. I think they've actually talked to the Mississauga City Council about some
They
topics
have.
relating to it. It's a new community, and yeah, I think it's going to be expanded more next year. Other than that, I'm in, I think there's a music club, so Harmonics, it's called. So right now they just host like office hours. You can come in, you can just jam, I guess. They have instruments. They have people who know how to play instruments. So if you want to like learn something, there's always someone who can kind of help you out a bit there. I think they want to host lessons a bit later on as well, but
Oh, sweet.
I think that's a work in progress. Yeah.
Nice. What about you, Yo-Yo? I don't think I've asked you about this, so I don't want to put you on the spot. Are you involved in any communities on campus? Not everybody is, so you don't need an answer for that.
No, not really.
And what about side projects, either of you? Oh, sorry, Yo-Yo. Go ahead.
I haven't been starting any side projects yet, but I'm planning to in summer. Like one small thing, like project I did, I guess, is just like building my own personal website.
Sorry, I lost you there for a second. Building your own what? Sorry?
Personal website.
Oh, sweet. Okay, awesome. Bogdan, anything to add before we move on? I just want to make sure everybody's got the chance to talk if there's anything else to add.
Yeah, for side projects, again, a lot of the time, I think it would be over the summer where you would really have more time to really work on side projects. You definitely could within a semester, especially if you don't have as many courses, but don't have too much pressure on yourself to build side projects when you're in university, just because a lot of the work here is also applicable to like when you're searching for jobs.
Thank you for that. Now, I just in recognition of the time, I know that we've got just a couple of minutes left. So the question that I always like to end off at, luckily Gary or Jerry has already asked it perfectly. If either one of you could give advice for students who just got an offer of admission to computer science, or maybe students who are just beginning their university journey, what advice would that be? Yo-Yo, let's start with you, please.
I think the most important thing would be time management and getting used to independent studies. Time management, because before university, like our teachers always like pushes us to do our assignments and stuff, remind us of the deadlines. But in university, it's kind of on your own. So you have to take your own responsibility to learn the concepts and be ready for the lectures.
And do you have any advice on how to do that? Because I know we talked about this a little bit.
I think would be just do the recommended readings ahead of the classes. Prepare some questions that you may want to ask during the lecture or in office hours. Yeah, just like you can also search up things online to answer your own questions. Yeah.
Awesome. And same question to you. Any advice that you have for students who are just beginning their academic journey, or maybe something that you wish that you knew really going into university for the first time?
I'd say it's good to plan out your courses, basically, plan out how your degree will go. Basically, take a look at what courses you might be interested in, try doing some of those, but if things don't really go according to plan, if you suddenly change interest, then no worries, you have plenty of chances to really get stuff done.
That's great advice. Okay, well, I wanted to thank you both for being so generous, both with your time and with your insights. It's been a pleasure getting to know you both, and it's been a pleasure really getting to ask you these questions and kind of draw out some of your experiences as a computer science student. So I'm going to wrap it up here. Let me actually, I want to put my very last contact us slide up on the screen for those of us who might be interested. One of the very last things that I wanted to highlight to students who maybe are joining us from outside of the Greater Toronto area is that we are going in the next couple of months to be hosting a number of what we call post-offer receptions. So these are going to be, oh, hold on, this is not quite what I want to be sharing. One moment, folks. Let me get my, perfect. One thing that I wanted to highlight to folks as we're moving into the kind of post-offer round is that we're going to be hosting a variety of post-offer receptions in some of our largest markets. So I know that we've got folks who are visiting us from countries like Bangladesh, visiting us from India, visiting us from Hong Kong, visiting us from mainland China. We are sending our recruitment staff all across the globe to come and meet with you. I myself am going to be going down to the United States. I'll be traveling around New England. So keep an eye on your email inboxes over the next couple of weeks. We'll be sending you more information about where you can find us. It's a great opportunity to learn more about the university. And it's also a great opportunity to meet some university professionals face-to-face in your hometown for those of you who aren't able to make it out to UTM. Singapore, I see Mona asking, yes, we will be coming to Singapore. Sadly, not me. I really wish. I've been begging for Singapore for years, but they won't send me just yet. So we'll be coming to visit you. Come and see us. And for those of you who are local, once again, the reminder is to come and check out our open house. We are hosting it on Sunday, March 24th. You'll have the opportunity to tour the campus. And you'll also have the opportunity to learn more about our university and even speak with some of your future professors and classmates. It's a great opportunity. For those of you who are local, you'll find more information on our website. Now, I know there's a million questions that we have not gotten to yet. So for those of you who still have burning questions that you didn't get an answer to, I want to invite folks to contact us. Our contact information is on the screen. Thank you all again for being here this evening. It's been a pleasure. Yo-Yo, Bogdan, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate your presence and your expertise, and I know our students do too. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Have a beautiful morning, afternoon, evening. Take care, everyone, and thank you all again. Bye.